So it's important to set up your paints, have everything ready, make sure you have paper towel that you're going to be using often. Right now I'm blocking in my blacks. So in order to keep your blacks, you're never going to completely brush over that area. You're only going to be brushing on the sides of them to get them to blend into the other values if needed. Sometimes you might have a reflection that is really sharp and you don't need it to blend into what is next to it. Now I'm starting to lay in some lighter gray values around my blacks. And some darker values. But I'm looking for the shapes of lights and darks that I'm seeing here. I will be painting in areas of pure white as well. So now I'm wiping the brush off. I wiped the brush off to get it so that these whites would be pure white. And again, just like the blacks, if there's areas that I want to stay perfectly white, I'm not going to brush over the entire area when I go to blend it. If you brush over the entire area, it's all just going to turn gray. And these are important things to remember when you are working in color as well, that if you brush over the entire area, it's just going to all blend together. So you're kind of working on blending the edges with a clean, dry brush. So I'm wiping the brush and then kind of coming in on the edge and using that to kind of blend it together. So I'm working on blending these areas, and you'll see me keep going to my paper towel, wiping it off to get it to blend. So the difference between like a soft brush and a harder brush that's for oil paint or acrylic paint is that these are harder brushes that push the paint as opposed to brush or hold a lot of water. They're more about pushing the paint into where it needs to go. So you'll notice that the brush itself is pretty stiff. So again, it's all about looking for all these little shapes that you see. And the thing about reflections, if you're a little bit off, it's okay, but you really do want to try to paint in the shapes that you're seeing and get as close to the value as you can. The fact that you have all these little interesting shapes is what's going to make this interesting. So because this is glass, there's a lot of shapes. If you have a lot of paint left on your brush when you need to change the value or color later when we're using color, you can wipe it into the background because eventually we're going to be covering that entire area. And you can move to a different area of the painting where you're going to need that value just to get it off the brush so you don't waste paint. And that's a good way to save paint. And to also not get your paper towel too messed up too quick. So I just wiped some in the background just to get some of that off of there, because I'm working on kind of blending these together right now. I'm getting all of these little shapes and blending on the edges and fixing those areas up. You can blend it as much as you want, so you can kind of keep working on it until you're happy with the way that it blends. You can also come back into the middle with some more white or some more black if an area just doesn't seem to be popping enough. I just painted in a little bit of a cast shadow to define between areas. That's important for you to figure out what the shadows between the different objects are going to look like. So this is a little bit of a bigger area, so I'm not using the tiny brush that I was just using. So I was drawing or painting in all of those tiny shapes. So now I moved up a brush size. The thing about painting, if you're painting a bigger painting, you just use bigger brushes. Right now I'm working on this area, and I'm going to show you how to do like a blend in a bigger area. So I had like the really dark black. Now I'm coming in with like a next value. I'm going to clean this because I'm going to lay in white. Now I'm cleaning that. This is a dry brush now to get it to blend. You can continue to keep working on this until it's perfectly smooth and perfectly blended.